Hi, I'm trying to create a new estimating spreadsheet for my landscape maintenance division within our company. And I've got myself a little too complicated on some of these formulas and can use some help. I was hoping this little video would help out, um, show what we want to get done. In short, what we want to do is anything that's in these green cells over here, these would be manual entry um, data cells where we put in the quantity that's specific to the job that's in there. Anything that's in a kind of a brighter group, green is a validation cell where we have lines that would indicate, um, light growth, moderate growth, heavy growth. That would be for shrubs or something like that. Um, and all this is being fed from a back sheet that I have here that says how much we can do per square foot for production. And I've created this sheet called formula sheets to kind of show the formula that I want to be able to create so that it can do some of these if, you know, functions, and it's just gotten too complicated for me. The end result is I want to be able to uh, have a proposal sheet that we can send out to a client. And this is going to be a pretty detailed sheet. I'm probably have two-thirds of the data here that we actually do, but I need to add more, and I want it to be something that we can expand out as we grow and as we add more services to the business. I was just going to use this sheet right here as an example of what we're trying to accomplish and the different data that we need to put into it. So this is just kind of a sample sheet. Ultimately, we'd want it to look something more like this so that it's just a one sheet entry and it tabulates everything. The estimator, as they enter data in here, they can see how it's affecting the price over here for the weekly services, and then here it adds what the annual cost would be. So back to this formula sheet. I'm just going to walk you through the example. So for example, say we've gone out to the site and have measured that there's 75,000 square feet of area. I then want to be able to identify what type of area that is that needs to be mowed. And then I've created this data validation line right here where we can choose turf, hydroseed, or native. Here I'll just keep it as turf. And then this, I've created another one here. This doesn't really serve any function except it'll save us from having to type in the type of service that it is. So right now I just have turf mowing or native mowing. We'll keep that as turf mowing. Now we run three different size lawnmowers. One is a 72-inch deck, 48-inch, and 30 inches, meaning that when one pass, they will cut 72 inches wide of grass. They all have different productivity numbers, and so we need to kind of be able to break out a site and determine what percentage of the job is can we use with the 72-inch mower, what can be used with a 48-inch mower, and what can be used with a 30-inch mower. So I've just gone ahead and plugged in some numbers. These all have to be manually entered in here. And it's really just kind of an estimate of what amount of the property we could use those mowers on. So I put in 30, 20, 50. I've created this cell here just to validate to make sure that we have all the quantities in there. So if I was to put 40, change the 30-inch mowers to 40-inch, I can see that I haven't included the whole area. And that's just a double check for me to make sure we don't leave anything short. The next line item that we have right there is called the efficiency. So every site presents its problems. There could be some steep slopes or it could be really cut up, big parking lots, and we might not be able to produce the productivity that we could expect at 100%. So when we see this 70%, that means that we're able to produce 72% less than our estimated capacity. And I'm having a hard time figuring out how I can figure the efficiency. I know how to work it backwards, but I was putting in like timesing it by 0.7, but that was actually reducing my hours by 30%. So I need some help with that one. I don't think that's too tough of a one to figure out. So just a little bit to the color code. This color of green right here, that represents a data field that we need to fill in. The lighter green represents there's a drop down there. I want the two different colors there just so that my estimators know that there's a drop down menu available. The yellow, these are all editable fields, but we're going to want to hide this in the background. These are not anything that the estimator needs to look at on a regular basis. These are just what our productivity could be. So for example, our large riding mower, it's a 72-inch cutting width. We have a 7-inch overlap. So each time the mower turns around and comes back, it's overlapping 7 inches on the last cut. It can go 6 miles per hour. So if you look at the formula, you can see how many square feet we can do per hour. And then I have this for turf, hydroseed, and native. So these are the 3 different turf types that we mow, and they each have a different productivity rate towards them, for them. The next thing I have down here is the setup time for the mowers. This is basically when truck arrives on site, how many times it's going to take us to unload and load back up the mowers, how many mowers we're going to have on the job, and what our total labor time is minutes. Those formulas are okay. Down here, I just have our labor prices for labor, irrigation tech. That's the price we charge, and that's our labor cost. And then I skip this up here. This would be the number of employees that are on a job that we're sending the job 3. This is the drive time from our shop to the job site, 30 minutes, which all calculates into our total labor hours. Okay, now for the formula that I need to figure out. Like I said, I want to be able to go in here and change this to hydroseed or native or turf. And I need to be able to figure out what the labor hours is for this. And so I've written what the formula that I need up here. I just don't know how to write it that Excel will do it. So I'm saying if D2, actually that would be, if D2 equals turf, then use this formula, which would be your quantity times your 72-inch mower, 30%, and then divided by the productivity number right there. I wrote G6, I guess that should be G8 actually. And then I've got to repeat it again for the 48-inch mower. So it's taking the C2 times the G2 for the 48-inch mowers and then timesing it by the productivity rate, which would be 9. And then the next one would be the C2, again, the quantity times H2, which is a 30-inch mower, and timesing it by, that would have to be divided by. You can see why I need help here. G11, I think. But or if D2 equals hydroseed rather than turf, then I'd want it to use this formula, which is basically the same formula that it came in, but now it's using the productivity rate or productivity numbers of the hydroseed. And then it goes through that and it says, or if it's native, I would need to do the same thing, but it's going to use the productivity rates of the native grass mowing. And so here I've just created something to show if it was turf, what the end result as far as hours should be. And so you can see I came in here at 72-inch mower. I'm just taking 75,000 times the 0.3, dividing it by 171,600 to say 0.13 hours. I've done the same thing for 48, 30, for a total of 1.34 man hours. Now this efficiency, I can't quite figure out how to add to it. So this would basically, we're moving 30% slower than what we normally would do. So I got to figure out that. So this number should go up. I'm going to guess roughly 35 to 50 minutes in time. The next thing that I need to include is the drive time. And that drive time is just taking the 3 guys times 30 minutes and dividing it by 60 to come up with 1.5 hours. Setup time, it's pulling right from here. And then I want the total hours, which is going to be adding up 8, L8, L9, L10, plus the efficiency hours. So it'd actually be adding up those 4 columns right there to give me the total hours. I've just gone ahead and added up what those hours would be without the efficiencies because I haven't been able to add that out. And then you can see I've done the same thing with hydroseed and native. And so I can look at this and see if this was hydroseed, I need to spend 4.2 hours. If it was native, I could do it in 2.7 hours. If it was turf, 3.6 hours. This will be really important to our business to get this more accurate. So just hopping over to this sheet right here, we would enter all the information in here, all that background formulas would all spit everything out to this man hours, and then I can figure out all my sales prices over there. Besides turf, there's a lot of other items in here. I have these 4 items right here. These don't really have any fancy drop-down formulas that's going to be needed, but it will have the efficiency section in it. I need stuff for pruning and for weeding, and they do have drop-downs that come to that. They'll be a little bit more complicated. So I might have 4 or 5 other items similar to this sheet right here that I need to help, and I'll keep on working and building all those. But the end result, I want to be able to have a sheet like this that I can fill out the general information about the site, and then I want to have a sheet like, well, it doesn't have to look exactly like this, but just basically a background that figures out all the formulas for this side or over here, really man hours. And then I want to be able to turn it into a proposal. Somebody with a little bit of design help that can make this easy to use would be ideal on that. So I hope somebody can help me out. Be a very valuable tool to our business, and be grateful. Thank you very much.